Quaid Azam, Part 117. This very brief sketch of the religious and social determinants of an otherwise rooted Hindu-Muslim question provides us with both a backdrop to the political developments influencing both communities, as also an essential integral that the internal fuel which consistently stoked the fires of strife, separation, and supremacy, even as accord was sought and worked for, was this social divide. While political self-rule, Hindu-Muslim unity and such issues dominated political thinking, socially divides of faith, belief and practice continued to strain the fabric, often tearing it apart. This was, in brief, the social backdrop of the momentous development that followed in the decade of the 20s. I've got a footnote for you. Professor Rosalind O'Hanlon is chairperson of Indian History and Culture at the Institute of Oriental Studies, Oxford University. The gulf widens. I'm coming back to the content now. The gulf widens with the outbreak of the First World War. Change arrived, and at a greatly accelerated pace it began to be said more often that the British were, after all, not born to rule. The First World War, in the Indian troops fighting European forces on European soil, conveyed many messages already examined in the earlier chapter. The collapse of the Ottoman Empire and the abolition of the Khalifa of Islam followed the Treaty of Sevres, which amongst the myriads other unintended consequences did temporarily bring together the Hindus and the Muslims on a political platform. This reaction to the abolition of Khalifa of Islam, from which was born the Khilafat movement, demonstrated yet again the theory of unintended consequences. Because of all these factors coinciding in time, what would otherwise have been seen as a welcome initiative of the ruling British just 2 years earlier was now received with skepticism. This sentiment marked the Indian response when consul reforms of 1919 finally got introduced. Nevertheless, by then had arisen other impediments, tragic, dramatic, and ultimately divisive, generating disillusionment all around. That was Jallianwala Bagh massacre of 13 April 1919. This caused such an enormous wave of revulsion throughout the country and provoked such an all-India campaign of the protest that every other initiative of the Raj paled into insignificance. It was this Jallianwala Bagh which in turn gave Gandhi, earlier an advocate of working with allies, his launching pad of the public protest. Non-cooperation. From here onwards, the Congress rapidly swung away from the moderation to civil disobedience, a change demonstrated most forcefully by the Home Rule League, which transformed itself from a constitutional league into a political body. But with this we will deal in subsequent chapters. Well, in fact, the stage was set for all the protest and all such aggressive politics. I beg your pardon, please. Sorry for the disturbance either. So there were protests. The Congress and the Muslim League and their sessions at Lucknow in 1916 had both agreed to give the Muslims separate electorates in all provincial legislatures and had conceded to them a special weightage in Hindu-majority province too. This provided the basis for a working cooperation between these two communities, as also their respective political organizations. The Congress and the Muslim League in this session, K.M. Munshi, and in his pilgrimage to freedom, describes the events in striking prose. In a sense, Jinnah dominated the Congress and the League both at that time. He had played the key role He had played the key role in preparing a draft constitution for India and getting it adopted by the sessions both of the Congress and of the League. This historical Lucknow Pact was an integral part of the constitution. Under it, the Muslims led by the League promised to work with the Hindus to achieve freedom in return for the Congress conceding to the Muslim separate electorates with the weightage far in excess of their numerical strength.